If there is one domain you cannot afford to neglect, it is the domain of the mind. Everything you do, everything you feel, and everything you achieve is filtered through the lens of your mental state. The challenge is that the mind is not naturally disciplined. It is naturally restless, reactive, and easily seduced by distraction. Left unattended, it will drift toward comfort, repetition, and fear, just like a river flows toward the lowest ground. To live at a higher level, you must deliberately train it every single day with the same consistency and seriousness that an athlete trains their body. Most people assume that thoughts happen to them like clouds drifting across the sky. They fail to recognize that while you cannot always control the appearance of a thought, you can absolutely control which ones you dwell on and feed. Every thought you choose to engage with is like casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Entertaining weak, self-defeating thoughts repeatedly is like watering weeds. You shouldn't be surprised when they overrun the garden. The disciplined mind begins with the awareness that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them, selecting them, and directing them. This is why mental discipline is not just about positive thinking. It is about intentional thinking. It is about deliberately choosing the mental frames through which you interpret reality. The same event can either be a crushing defeat or a valuable lesson, depending entirely on the story you tell yourself about it. If you train your mind to look for growth, opportunity, and solutions, you will navigate difficulties with resourcefulness instead of despair. This is not magical thinking, it is psychological conditioning, and it works because your actions inevitably follow your dominant focus. To discipline the mind, you must build daily rituals that anchor you in clarity. Whether that's journaling to organize your thoughts, meditating to sharpen your focus, reading to expand your perspective, or setting aside quiet moments to reflect. You are not merely passing time, you are fortifying your mental architecture. And this is not something you master once, it is a lifelong practice. Like muscles, the mind weakens when neglected and strengthens with consistent challenge. There will be days when your mind resists, when old habits of worry and distraction try to reclaim their territory. On those days, the temptation will be to let discipline slide, to tell yourself you'll try again tomorrow. But the truth is, tomorrow's mind is shaped by today's discipline. Skipping today is not neutral. It is training in the opposite direction. If you control your mind, you control your life. If you neglect it, someone else, circumstances, fears, or other people will gladly control it for you. The choice is always yours, but it must be made daily. Train your mind as if your future depends on it, because it does. If the mind is the control center of your life, then emotions are the fuel that drives it. They shape your decisions, influence your relationships, and determine how you experience every moment. Yet most people move through life letting their emotions dictate their actions without ever questioning them. They treat emotions as forces of nature, unpredictable, unmanageable, when in truth, emotions are not commands, they are signals. They are data, not directives. To master your life, you must learn to master your emotional states, because until you do, your intelligence, your discipline, and even your best intentions will be undermined by impulsive reactions. Emotions are powerful because they are tied to survival. Fear warns you of danger, anger signals perceived injustice, joy rewards behaviors that align with your needs and values. But the human brain evolved in a world very different from the one you live in now. That means many emotional reactions are outdated, wired for threats that no longer exist or exaggerated in proportion to the actual situation. If you simply obey your emotions without filtering them through reason, you will live in a constant cycle of overreaction and regret. The first step is awareness. You cannot manage what you do not notice. Most people feel anger, anxiety, or frustration and immediately become it. They don't pause to observe it. But if you can create even a brief gap between the feeling and the reaction, you create the space for choice. That gap is where emotional intelligence lies. You shift from being the passenger of your emotions to being the driver. The second step is regulation. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. That only makes them stronger. It means acknowledging them, understanding what they are trying to tell you, and then deciding how to use them constructively. If you feel fear, you can channel it into preparation instead of paralysis. If you feel anger, you can channel it into assertive communication instead of destructive confrontation. If you feel joy, you can deepen it through gratitude rather than taking it for granted. Mastering emotions is not about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming emotionally intentional. You choose the emotional tone of your day rather than leaving it to chance. This requires daily practice, because emotions will always come uninvited. The question is whether they find you prepared. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose the emotional lens through which you experience it. And that choice will shape your behavior, your results, and your relationships more than almost anything else. If you don't lead your emotions, they will lead you. And where they take you will not always be where you want to go. Learn to feel deeply but act wisely, so that every emotion becomes an ally rather than an enemy. That is the kind of mastery that turns turbulence into power. Energy is the foundation upon which all other aspects of your life rest. Without it, even the sharpest mind and the most disciplined emotions cannot operate at their fullest capacity. You can have a brilliant idea, a clear plan, and unshakable resolve, but if your body is drained, your thoughts slow, your focus blurs, and your willpower collapses under the weight of exhaustion. Energy is not just a physical resource, it's a mental and emotional one. And yet, too many people treat it as if it's infinite, ignoring its depletion until their bodies force them to stop. What you have to understand is that energy doesn't just happen, it is cultivated. Your body is a system, and like any system, its output depends on the quality of its inputs and maintenance. Nutrition, movement, sleep, and mental rest are not optional luxuries. They are the daily disciplines that determine whether you operate at half your potential or your maximum capacity. But energy is not only about the body. It is equally about the mind and spirit. Mental clutter, unresolved stress, and constant exposure to negativity are just as draining as physical exertion, sometimes more. Think about how much energy you lose, not because of what you're doing physically, but because of what you're carrying mentally. A single unresolved worry can drain you more than hours of hard work. This is why energy management requires a holistic approach. You must learn to protect your physical vitality and your mental clarity with equal seriousness. That means not only exercising and eating well, but also managing stress, setting boundaries, and spending time in environments that recharge you instead of depleting you. There's also a deeper layer here. Where you direct your energy matters as much as how much of it you have. Pouring your energy into meaningless or misaligned pursuits is like filling a leaking bucket. The best energy in the world won't serve you if it's scattered across distractions or invested in things that do not move you toward your purpose. Every day, ask yourself, where is my energy going? If the answer doesn't align with your values and your goals, you're bleeding strength without realizing it. The truth is, the world rewards those who can show up fully, consistently, not just occasionally. That requires not only having energy, but knowing how to sustain it over time. And sustaining it is a conscious act. You can't just wake up and hope to feel energized. You build it, you protect it, you renew it. That means being willing to step back when needed, to rest without guilt, and to eliminate the people, habits, and environments that drain you unnecessarily. Without energy, all ambition collapses. With it, even ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. Guard your energy like the priceless asset it is, because it is the fuel for everything else you will ever create. Your value in the world is directly tied to the skills you possess and the depth to which you have mastered them. In a rapidly changing environment, the half-life of knowledge is shrinking. What is cutting edge today may be obsolete in a few years, sometimes even months. That means relying solely on what you already know is not just dangerous, it is a guarantee of decline. To remain relevant, competitive, and capable, you must adopt the mindset that learning is not a phase of life. It is a daily responsibility. The danger many people fall into is the illusion of progress. They stay busy but not skillful, comfortable in routines that do not stretch them. They confuse years of repetition with years of growth. True mastery requires deliberate practice, and deliberate practice is uncomfortable. It pushes you to operate at the edge of your ability, where mistakes are inevitable and where ego must be set aside. This is why most avoid it. It requires vulnerability and the willingness to be a beginner over and over again. Every day presents opportunities to sharpen your skills, but those opportunities must be seized intentionally. Reading a few pages of a challenging book, learning a new tool, practicing a difficult technique, or studying the moves of those who are already operating at a higher level. These actions may seem small in isolation, but compounded over time, they create an extraordinary difference in capability. The key is consistency. Sporadic bursts of effort cannot compete with disciplined, daily sharpening. It's also worth understanding that, in the modern world, versatility matters. It is no longer enough to be great at just one thing. You must build a layered skill set that gives you leverage. A great communicator who also understands technology has more doors open than someone with only one of those strengths. A strategist who also knows how to execute is exponentially more valuable than a thinker who never acts. The more intersections you create between skills, the rarer and therefore more valuable you become. But skill development is not purely a technical process, it is deeply psychological. To grow, you must confront the resistance that whispers, "You already know enough, or "You're not talented enough to learn this." Both are lies. What matters far more than talent is persistence. The person who learns every day will always surpass the one who only relies on natural ability. When you stop growing, you start declining. The world will not slow down to match your pace, it will simply move on without you. If you want to create a life of influence, stability, and self-respect, make skill acquisition as natural and non-negotiable as eating or sleeping. The skills you cultivate today will be the opportunities you command tomorrow. And the sooner you begin, the further ahead you will be when others finally realize they should have started. No matter how strong, disciplined, or talented you are, your environment will shape you, and the people in that environment will define its quality. Every meaningful achievement in human history has been built, sustained, or amplified through connection. Success is never the product of isolation, it is the result of relationships, strategic, intentional, and mutually beneficial. Yet most people approach relationships passively, hoping they will just happen, rather than cultivating them with care and purpose. The truth is, your network is not just a list of contacts, it's an ecosystem. In that ecosystem, some people will nourish you, challenge you, and open doors you didn't even know existed. Others will drain you, distract you, and subtly pull you away from your vision. One of the most important daily disciplines you can practice is to consciously invest in the relationships that elevate you and to create distance from those that deplete you. This isn't about using people, it's about alignment. It's about surrounding yourself with individuals whose values, ambitions, and energy are in harmony with the life you are building. Healthy, strategic relationships are built on value exchange. Every day, ask yourself not just, "Who can help me?" but also, "How can I be valuable to others?" The people who become truly magnetic in life are those who give as much as, if not more than, they receive. Offer help without keeping score. Share knowledge without fear of competition. Celebrate others' wins without envy. Over time, this creates a web of trust and goodwill that becomes one of your most powerful assets. But there's another layer, exposure. Who you spend time with will silently set your standards. If you are constantly in the company of people who think small, play safe, or settle for mediocrity, that mentality will seep into you no matter how disciplined you think you are. Conversely, if you regularly interact with people who demand more from themselves, who think in terms of possibilities rather than limitations, your own standards will naturally rise to match. And this daily investment doesn't always require dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as sending a message to check in, sharing an idea that could help someone, or making an introduction between two people who could benefit from knowing each other. Over months and years, these small acts compound into a reputation, one that makes people think of you not just as someone they know, but as someone they trust and respect. Your personal and professional growth is accelerated or slowed by the quality of your relationships. Every connection you nurture is a seed planted for future opportunities, collaborations, and moments of support you can't yet foresee. Choose those seeds carefully, water them daily, and protect them from the weeds. Because in the end, no one truly builds alone, and the strength of your circle often determines the height of your climb. There is a kind of success that looks impressive on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. It happens when your actions, achievements, and image move in one direction, but your deeper values and inner truth pull in another. You can be productive, wealthy, and admired and still feel restless, dissatisfied, or strangely empty. That's because progress without alignment is not real fulfillment, it is motion without meaning. Every day, you must ensure that what you are doing is in harmony with who you truly are. Self-alignment is not just about knowing your values, it's about embodying them. Many people can list what they claim to stand for, but their daily choices tell a different story. They say they value health, but consistently neglect their body. They say they value integrity, but compromise when the stakes are high. They say they value family, but allow work to consume all their time. Alignment is not measured by words, it is measured by the consistent connection between belief and behavior. The challenge is that life constantly tempts you to drift. Social pressure, financial stress, and even ambition can push you into decisions that make sense in the moment, but chip away at your deeper truth over time. The danger is subtle. You don't wake up one day completely misaligned, it happens in small steps. You rationalize compromises. You ignore that inner discomfort. You tell yourself you'll fix it later. But misalignment compounds just like progress does, and if left unchecked, it can take you far from the life you intended to live. This is why alignment must be a daily practice. It requires honest self-checks. Does this action reflect my values? Does this goal still fit the life I actually want? Am I pursuing this because it matters to me or because it will impress someone else? Asking these questions isn't weakness, it's strength. It forces you to face the reality of your own motives and to course correct before you wander too far. When your actions and values match, you experience a kind of internal stability that cannot be faked. Decisions become clearer because you are no longer torn between external rewards and internal truth. You feel a deep sense of peace, not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer living at odds with yourself. And that peace, that wholeness, becomes the foundation from which you can pursue any goal with confidence. The world is full of people chasing what they think will make them happy, only to discover that they've been running in the wrong direction. Don't let that be you. Live so that your progress is not just upward, but true. Let every step you take move you not only closer to your goals, but closer to yourself. Because in the end, the only success worth having is the kind that doesn't require you to abandon who you are to achieve it.